Being a sport that relies on size to make the most effective plays on both ends of the court, it's normal for basketball that some of its greatest players are also among the tallest ones. And this was also the case for the NBA, given that, till not long ago, having a player like Tim Duncan, Kevin Garnett, or Shaquille O'Neal was a requirement to win a championship. However, things changed when the Miami Heat and Golden State Warriors won multiple championships during the 2010s by relying mostly on their perimeter plays, as the rest of the league imitated the way they built their respective rosters, starting an era in which big star men were not believed to be as relevant as they used to be. For a while, centers were believed to be in danger of extinction, but after a few years of small ball dominance, the truth is that the tallest players on the floor have adapted to the way the game is played now, and perhaps no player represents this evolution as well as Nikola Jokic does. Welcome to Courtside. Today we'll take a look at how the Joker has been the main representative of a new breed of successful NBA centers. Jokic started his NBA career in 2015, a year after being selected by the Denver Nuggets with the 41st pick. At the moment of his drafting, he wasn't considered a game changer, and multiple scouts were worried about his physical condition. And while there weren't too many expectations placed on him, he used the year between his drafting and NBA debut to become one of the best players on the Adriatic League, winning the regular season MVP and acquiring the valuable experience that would help him make the transition to the NBA. During his first season with the Nuggets, the center showed flashes of the player he would become by having a solid all-around production and finishing third in voting for the Rookie of the Year award. By his second season, he made major improvements in all areas of his game and turned into a triple-double threat, while also becoming a contender for the Most Improved Player award and helping his team improve its record, falling just short of the 8th seed. The following year, he started gaining recognition as his assists number and three-point shooting percentage improved significantly, and he became the leader of a much-improved Denver team that missed on the playoffs on the final game of the regular season. From that point on, his game only continued to get better as his playmaking became a central aspect in a Nuggets offense that helped take them from out of the playoffs to a top 3 finish in the next 2 seasons. In short, in a span of 3 years, the Serbian went from being a mostly unknown player to being the face of a franchise on the rise, following that up with All-Star and All-NBA selections and excellent postseason runs. His growth was most recently highlighted by the way he was one of the main reasons why Denver was able to overcome 2 3-1 series deficits in the playoffs, with the second of them coming against a championship contender to reach the conference finals for the 4th time in team history. Jokic, along with Jamal Murray and coach Michael Malone, helped the Nuggets become one of the most dangerous teams in the Western Conference during the playoffs. And with a few more years of experience and the right surrounding cast, there's no reason to believe they won't remain as a threat in the coming seasons. But you may be wondering why his development is so important, considering that many other players go through the same process during the early years of their career. And the answer to that is simple. Jokic did it as a center, at a moment when it was considered that centers were no longer skilled enough to be the foundational piece of a young roster. And most importantly, he did better than anyone could have expected. For the better part of NBA history, teams built around talented centers with the hope of contending for a championship, and the players at this position were often expected to be among the best on both ends of the court. To date, the MVP trophy has been awarded to more centers than players at any other position, with a total of 11 different centers winning it since the creation of the league. Still, the last center to win an MVP was Shaquille O'Neal, who did it in 2000. From that point on, power forwards took the spotlight as the best big men in the league, with Tim Duncan, Kevin Garnett, and Dirk Nowitzki all winning the award at least once. Despite that change, big men were still dominating the league as all championship teams until 2011 had at least one star center or power forward leading the way. But when the LeBron James-led Miami Heat won the championship in 2012, teams started focusing more on perimeter players, given that while the Heat had a star forward in Chris Bosh, he was the third option behind James and Dwayne Wade. Things would only get worse for big men when the Golden State Warriors won the title in 2015 by relying on the outside shooting from Steph Curry and Klay Thompson, as opposing teams would try to replicate that system. As most of the action was now taking place far away from the rim, traditional big men became mostly obsolete as teams were instead looking for players that would be able to create space by having a reliable three-point shot. This change forced big men into one of 2 options. They had to either develop a reliable three-point shot to adapt to the way the game was being played, or settle down as role players that could be cut or moved away at any given moment. Some of them managed to transform their game to become excellent stretch fives, with perhaps the best example being Brook Lopez. Others, on the other hand, weren't nearly as lucky and quickly found themselves out of the league. But while all of this was taking place, the younger big men who were coming into the league were already aware that they need to become something entirely different to be successful in the league. Anthony Davis, who was already an NBA player when the transition started taking place, developed an outside game as the seasons went by, and that has helped him turn into arguably the league's best big man. However, AD plays as a power forward, a position that struggles slightly less with the change than what the centers did. When it comes to pure centers, there was hope when Karl Anthony Towns and Joel Embiid came into the league. as both have unique styles that made people consider that either of them could lead a renaissance of their position. Cat is a more versatile player when it comes to the offense, as he's able to spot up from anywhere and has a great passing game from a center. However, his play on the defensive end leaves much to be desired, as does his lack of success with the Timberwolves. On the other hand, Embiid has one of the best interior games that have been seen in recent years, and he's also one of the best defensive players at his position. But while he made an immediate impact for the 76ers when he made his debut, over the last few years, his team has been unable to live up to expectations, raising many questions on his effectiveness. Both players are immensely talented but have been unable to dominate as was expected from them. And that makes it even more impressive for Jokic to be the one that's taking over the spot as the best center in the league. When he came into the league, there weren't any kind of expectations placed on him. In fact, throughout his first year and a half, it wasn't even clear whether he'd be the Nuggets center of the future, as he shared minutes with Jusuf Nurkic. But at the moment he received the trust of his team and was allowed to use his skills to lead Denver's offense, he started putting numbers never seen before from a center, and the Nuggets steadily turned into one of the best teams in the West. Jokic is usually named in the same conversation as Bill Walton, the Blazers legend that guided Portland to its only championship, won the MVP trophy, and has been considered as the best passing center on league history. However, when compared to the Joker, Walton's numbers suddenly don't look that amazing, given that during his best passing season he averaged 5 assists per game, a number that's outstanding for a player that tall, but that has already been surpassed by Jokic on 3 occasions. Since the 2017-18 season, the Serbian has averaged over 6 assists per game, and his best season in that aspect so far came in 2018-19 when he made 7.3 assists per game, numbers that would be expected from a point guard, not from a center. And this is even more impressive considering that Jokic is not the most athletic player on his team. As a matter of fact, he's one of the slowest players in the league, yet he's able to control the tempo of the game and easily create plays for his teammates. That gives the Nuggets the chance to put multiple creators on the floor at the same time without giving up size, and allows him and Murray to go from creator to finisher and backward on any given moment. And while the way he's able to control a game has been the main reason for his team's success in the last few seasons, his impact goes way beyond Denver, as he set a new standard for excellence when it comes to centers and power forwards. Before he rose to stardom, it wasn't common to find too many big men with a good passing touch, but as he started to receive consideration as the best center in the league, teams became aware of the advantages of having a big man that was capable of creating a few plays for his teammates, and we could see that during these playoffs. Among the 16 teams that qualified for the playoffs, 10 had at least one big man on their roster that had averaged at least 3 assists per game during the regular season, and all 4 teams that reached the conference finals are part of that list. The tallest players on the floor are developing a passing game as part of the evolution process caused by the way the game is being played today, and Jokic has become by far the best representative of this new breed of big men that are capable of affecting the game on more ways than ever before. Overall, the NBA has changed a lot over these last few years, and players have had to adapt their games to remain impactful, with the big men being the most affected by the three-point shot revolution. Still, while the change may have worried some at first, the results have been better than anyone could have expected. The centers and power forwards are becoming more versatile players every time and are showing they can still lead a winning team and have deep playoff runs. But now, what do you think about the new point centers that are taking over the league? Do you believe that Jokic, or a player like him, will be able to guide a team to a championship? Let us know in the comments. We hope you've enjoyed today's video, and if you did, remember to like it and subscribe to our channel for more NBA content. We are Courtside.